Welcome to another episode of the Matt McKeever Show. In today's episode, Financial Samurai is going to show us how we're all actually guilty of timing the market. Now, timing the market's actually a pretty dirty word in the FIRE community. Most of us try to avoid it, but when we really break down what market timing is, we're all guilty of it one way or another. Mr. My Mustache is going to show us how to slow down time, how to make the most of our memories, and how to make more memories. We're also going to talk about financial infidelity and when to have the talk with your romantic partner. When's the right time to talk about personal finances? And finally, I'm going to share with you another Mises article that talks about liberalism and capitalism and why we're really in the age of capitalism, but also how history is constantly repeating itself. Anyways, all that and more in today's episode of the Matt McKeever Show. And if you guys enjoy this, smash that like button. But let's just get into it. The first thing I want to share with you guys was a Reddit post, and it was actually on financial infidelity and when to have the talk with your partner, your significant other, about finances. Now, it's probably inappropriate to share your credit card debt on the first date, but you also shouldn't be surprising your newlywed spouse on the honeymoon with your student debt. So when do you actually have the talk? How do you have the talk? And that's awkward, isn't it? Yeah, it totally is awkward talking about finances at first in a new romantic relationship, but it's something you don't want to delay forever. We've all heard the statistics, it's the #1 reason for divorce or fighting, involves financial arguments. And at the end of the day, society's kind of preconditioned us with a lot of rom-coms and stuff, in my opinion, that really frame things as in, oh, don't worry about the money, don't worry about the finances if you love someone. But if your financial lives aren't aligned, if your financial goals aren't aligned, you're going to constantly have friction in that relationship. Now, that doesn't mean the relationship will never work. I'm just saying that you're setting yourself up for failure. You're going to make it a lot harder on yourself with that partner if your finances aren't aligned. And now there's a whole spectrum of ways that you can go about sharing your finances, as well as how well you integrate your finances, but it's going to come up at some point. So I don't think it's something where you just have a talk. I think it's a series of talks, and it's something at first when you're just in kind of the initial courtship, you're probably going to be able to figure out some rough ideas of their financial priorities just based on where they spend, and how they talk about money. But at some point in time, maybe once you start becoming more serious, once you start thinking of a future together, I would really recommend you start really sharing your financial details. Now, that doesn't mean you're immediately taking on all the obligations of your significant other, but you should at least be aware of them. Again, if you're going to be a team for the rest of your life, it's important that you also be a financial team, in my opinion. But again, this is coming from a single dude, so I'm sure everyone's got an opinion on this subject, so jump in that comment section down below and share with me, share with your fellow viewers, what's your approach to personal finances and love? And when do you have the talk? Have you had the talk? And did you regret not having the talk sooner with your current spouse, your current significant other? I'd love to know, because I don't think there's a right answer, but there's definitely some wrong answers in my opinion. I also wanted to share with you guys another amazing Mr. My Mustache article, and this one specifically was on how to slow down time. And so I'm just going to kind of extrapolate and riff upon the subject matter a bit, but first, he just kind of broke down for us how when we get caught in these routines, it's really easy to just kind of live your life on rails, and you end up having the same experience again and again and again. So if you're always driving to work in the same route, or you're always buy groceries the same way, the same night, at the same time, that it's really easy for all those experiences to blur together. However, when we're learning something new, when we're trying something new, when we're experimenting and exploring, that creates a lot of new memories that seem to really drill in and stand out versus the monotony of a day-to-day routine. And I just wanted to share, yeah, I 100% agree. It's really easy, especially the older you get, to start realizing that life can just pass you by without us really realizing it or giving it permission to pass us by. But time stops for no one. But I think he's right. We can slow it down. And so one of the things that I know has slowed down time for myself is, again, just trying all kinds of new experiences, experimenting, traveling, and just breaking out of normal day-to-day routines. Now, I'm not saying routines are a bad thing always. Routines are really important. Having habits is really important if you want to be successful. With entrepreneurship or business, it's usually not just a one-time effort. It's consistent effort over time that's going to get you the results you want, particularly if you're trying to build an empire or a real estate empire. But in your personal lives, I think it's really important to be constantly experimenting, constantly having new experiences, so it does break up the day-to-day grind of being a young hustler or grinder and trying to save up our money and reach financial independence, reach lean fire, and get control of our financial lives. Does that make sense? I'm not even sure if I'm making sense right now. Another thing that was interesting was Mr. My Mustache started breaking down for us how we start classifying things. So like my childhood, my adulthood, my first job, my whatever, in these different phases of our lives, and we start really clumping all the information together, and again, it makes it less significant. It kind of blurs everything together, whereas if you're constantly experimenting, if you constantly have different phases in your life, all of a sudden it feels like you have more experiences. And again, this is kind of a fuzzy subject matter. I'm not sure if I'm being super clear. I'd love for you guys to jump in the comment section down below and let me know, am I making sense? I'm still technically speaking English at least, so hopefully you're understanding me. But I'd love to know, what are your tips for ways to have your memories stand out more? What are ways to create more memories? Or even just let me know, what's the most significant memory you've ever had? I've shared with you guys on my other YouTube videos, but two of the most significant moments in my life were OREC 2018 last year, as well as the Vegas mastermind we had. Those were just really meaningful experiences to me. They really stand out, and I'm sure part of the reason they stand out is it was so outside the norm for me. There was so much lead up to it, so much preparation for it, that, you know, it just accumulated in this crazy, amazing experience. So let me know, what crazy, amazing experience have you had, and what crazy, amazing experience are you looking forward to in the future? I also wanted to share with you guys a recent post by Financial Samurai. Again, I love his blog just like I love Mr. My Mustache's blog. But what was unique with this post was he was reframing our idea of timing the market. And I thought it was actually very unique. I hadn't seen someone necessarily break it out like this in a while, and so it really got me thinking. Because at the end of the day, a lot of us in financial independence retired early community, we're not trying to time the market per se, or at least we tell ourselves that. But pretty much anything you do involves trying to time the market. For example, as a real estate investor like myself, buying in a gentrifying neighborhood is that's timing the market. Trying to buy underutilized assets and hoping that either you can improve them or at some point in time the market will realize the underlying value, that's technically still timing the market. Or for example, if you receive a windfall, whether from inheritance or a bonus or some other sort of large monetary proceeds, if you throw that all into the market at once, that's kind of timing the market. Or if you decide to slowly diversify and just buy in tranches over an extended period of time, you're still dollar cost averaging, which sort of involves timing the market. And another interesting one he highlighted that I see so often with real estate investors is deciding to sell your rental property when your tenants move out. Now, this can make sense for lots of business reasons. For example, you can go in, fix up the unit, and make it look as nice as possible. It also means that your future buyer can potentially select their tenants rather than inheriting your tenants. And it means that you can potentially get top market dollar today, which should improve the cap rate, which should improve the price you can charge or sell the property for. However, still waiting for those tenants to move out, that's kind of timing the market. You're using this opportunity to sell. So anyways, long story short, I just thought this was a fun reflection on the idea of timing the market. At the end of the day, we're all doing it one way or another. It's just a matter of how we're framing it. But I'd love to hear your thoughts, your concepts on timing the market. Do you guys actively day trade? Do you actively flip real estate? Are you purposely buying in gentrifying neighborhoods? What sort of market timing are you implementing? And maybe what are some ways that you didn't even realize you were market timing, but now that we've reframed it, you realized you are? Jump in the comment section down below. Let me and your fellow viewers know. And in today's episode, I also wanted to share another amazing article from the Mises Institute on capitalism and liberalism. So this was originally from Ludwig von Mises' Introduction to the Mises Liberalism, 1927. A society in which liberal principles are put into effect is usually called a capitalist society, and the condition of that society, capitalism, since the economic policy of liberalism has everywhere been only more or less closely approximated in practice conditions as they are in the world today provided us with but an imperfect idea of the meaning and possible accomplishments of capitalism in the full flower. Nevertheless, one is altogether justified in calling our age the age of capitalism. because all that has created the wealth of our time can be traced back to capitalist institutions. It is thanks to those liberal ideas that still remain alive in our society, to what yet survives in it of the capitalist system, that the great mass of our contemporaries can enjoy a standard of living far above that which just a few generations ago was possible only to the rich and especially privileged. To be sure, it is the customary rhetoric of the demigods. These facts are represented quite differently. To listen to them, one would think that all progress in the techniques of production redounds to the exclusive benefit of a favored few, while the masses sink ever more deeply into misery. However, it requires only a moment's reflection to realize that the fruits of all technological and industrial innovations make for an improvement in the satisfaction of the wants of the great masses. All big industries that produce consumer goods work directly for the benefit. All industries that produce machines and half-finished products work for them indirectly. The great industrial developments of the last decades, like those of the 18th century, that are designated by the not altogether happily chosen phrase, the Industrial Revolution, have resulted above all in a better satisfaction of the needs of the masses. The development of the clothing industry, the mechanization of shoe production, and the improvements in the processing and distribution of foodstuffs have by their very nature benefited the widest public. It is thanks to these industries that the masses today are far better clothed and fed than ever before. However, mass production provides not only food, shelter, and clothing, but also for other requirements of the multitude. The press serves the masses quite as much as the motion picture industry, and even the theater and similar strongholds of the arts are daily becoming more and more places of mass entertainment. So what's really interesting to me about this is this article feels like it probably could have been written today, or it could have been written 20 years ago or 100 years ago, and in fact was written in 1927. And this is just kind of a recurring theme I've realized is often when we think we're in the middle of something brand new, when we think our time's unlike any other time, it's usually just because we don't know enough about the past. If we really dig deep into history, we can usually find all sorts of patterns re-emerging and repeating themselves in just kind of human behavior, human society, and just a lot of the stuff we do. Turns out we're really creatures of habit. But again, that's only the tip of this article. I recommend you guys jump over to Mises.org, check it out, read the full article, and let me know in the comment section down below. Are you enjoying me reading the starts of these articles? Are you getting value from them? Is this weird? I don't know. This is all new to me. It's probably new to you too. So let's figure it out together. So that's it for this episode of the Matt McKeever Show. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you enjoy what I'm trying to do with this video series, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to my channel, and until next time, remember, your net worth is your network. So go out there, start networking, meet like-minded individuals, spend some time with them, learn from people that are doing what you want to do. Don't take advice from people that are doing shit you don't want to do. It's the craziest thing, and yet we almost all fall victim to that. Anyways, until next time, remember, making money is a team sport. There's more than enough money in this world for us to all make it, but if you're not saving it, I mean, like, what's the point? Thanks, guys. Bye.